Hello again, Guyana. This week, West Side Story comes to you from the Leonora Diagnostic Center here, right here on the West Side. Now, we're coming to you this week from a not so pleasant note. Last weekend, there was some overtopping here on the West Dam. Of course, residents, communities were displaced, but the entire hospital is currently on a shutdown. Obviously, the water did a lot of damage. There is so much cleaning going on. There is a buzz of activities coming up a little later on. We will be talking to the hospital's administrator, Miss Kathleen Armstrong. She'll tell us about what's happening, but I can tell you, I'm talking to you right now and I'm just smelling cleaning agents, and people are really trying their best. You'll hear from Kathleen also how this unfortunate, very, very unfortunate incident, natural disaster, has in a sense to show that people can really come together and work together as a team, again, under some very harrowing circumstances. As you know, that you're not necessarily getting that smooth flow that you usually get from West Side Story, because some of the things that you've seen, it's very, very unpleasant. And again, all of this is because of a natural disaster. But we'll be telling you coming up also in the program how the government has intervened. I know you've seen some of this in some of the other broadcasts, some of the media teams, and I must congratulate all of them who've been here on the ground. Of course, you know, West Side Story is of a different nature, so we're trying to carry it on a different day. Again, most of the cleanup has commenced and completed, but we're trying to bring you some of the information that you haven't yet gotten. So stay tuned. West Side Story will be back, and we'll be talking to the hospital's administration to see how they are faring in all of the cleanup efforts after that unfortunate overtopping incident last week. And of course, I am Malika Ramsey. Do stay with West Side Story. As we said earlier, we're at the Leonora Cottage Hospital, where it's completely shut down for now. What's happening, as I said before, is cleaning. But we're going to come back to all of that in a bit. We're talking to the the hospital administrator, Miss Kathleen Armstrong. Of course, she's extremely busy, as you would understand now. Things are a bit crazy because they're still trying to recover from that overtopping they had last weekend. So, Miss Kathleen, again, welcome back to West Side Story. It is unfortunate that is under these very hurtful circumstances. What is happening here at the Leonora Cottage Hospital as we speak?
First of all, I don't know where to begin, but we've had a very harrowing experience from the overtopping last Friday. As we speak, we are still trying to mop up, to clean up. We've finished internally, but we're now doing the external cleaning. Lots of things have happened over the last 2 days, but I want to foremost thank the entire staff at Leonora Diagnostic and Treatment Center for the tremendous support. This experience really taught us how cooperative and how we could stand together as a team. Yeah. Right now, we also have on board with us the core group from the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, helping us on the outside. They were here yesterday and they help us to wash out and to mop out as well.
Okay, all right. I don't want to put Ms. Armstrong under too much pressure because she has a lot that she's dealing with right now. Are you in a position to say if there were damage done to any equipment? How much of a setback is this? How soon do we expect the Leonora Diagnostic Center to be up and running again?
I cannot overemphasize my gratitude to the Sentinel security, especially those attached to this institution, for the effort they put in at 4 o'clock on Friday morning. Because as soon as the waters came up and they realized that the hospital inside was inundated, they acted quickly. They just got keys and they started opening up departments and just lifting stuff, medical equipment, and putting them on tables, on chairs, just to get them out of the water. And I do express our sincere gratitude to those members of staff of the security department. So far, we know that our generator you know, that couldn't be moved. So that went. We are waiting for it to be completely serviced. There were 2 fridges that we really couldn't help to save, and those 2 we will have to look at, and our washing machine in the laundry department.
Okay.
Apart from that, no medical equipment.
Perfect. God is good. But what about time, reopening time, functioning time? And I know we've heard on other broadcasts, but we can't bring this information to you enough so that you know what is happening. We've heard that patients would have been transferred to close medical institutions that are closed. Tell us about that, and how soon is this institution, this facility, expected to be up and running?
All right. Now, this institution, we should be finished with our mopping up exercises by Thursday. I'd say Thursday. So by Monday, we should be up and running.
Okay.
As I said before, we cannot overemphasize the goodness of the security. If it weren't for them, we would have lost a lot.
Okay. All right. And you've been able to check on your patients that have been transferred?
Those patients who have come to us, they are going to the Mildred Cox Young Health Center, then Amstel. Quite a few of them, quite a number of them. Some of them have come, and for example, in the eye care, and what we've done, we have reappointed the dates.
Okay. All right, great. We're going to have to leave it there for now with the hospital's administrator, Ms. Kathleen Armstrong. Kathleen, thank you so very much, and good luck in all of the other cleanup efforts and checking on your other patients and so on. We are still here on West Side Story. We're now at IFLOT Ocean View again. This is one of the communities that was badly affected by last weekend's overtopping, and it's interesting to see what is happening at the road, because we were here on West Side Story just a few weeks ago, and as I speak to you, my cameraman is getting the and again, it's amazing what natural disasters can do, and not amazing in a good way at all, because apparently the heavy overtopping caused certain parts of the road to break up. You know, and I know some people and some of the other members of the media and so on would have been here. But again, we're doing this specifically for West Side Story, just to show you the damage that would have been done. Coming up a little later on, I'll be talking to one of the community development officers here for Region 3 here on the west side. And he'll tell you about, and I know some of you have seen indeed already how the government would have responded. But he'll be giving you some more details on how government responded, and we'll also be able to visit one of the shelters here in this community, which the people are occupying until their homes are back in if not perfect order, but at least in livable order and livable condition. But again, we're here at IFLOT. We're going on to Stewartville next, which is not very far away. Again, West Side Story comes to you this edition, very unfortunate circumstances, and we'll continue to bring you more on this edition of West Side Story. Stay tuned. We're still here on West Side Story, and we'll be talking to another family here at IFLOT, and you'll hear about how this gentleman and his wife and children would have been coping thus far, and you'll hear about what they've lost and so forth. And coming up later on, you'll hear on how government has responded to not only help this family, but other families who have been unfortunately displaced by last week's overtopping.
Yeah, towards the afternoon, the water started come. Well, when you start come, I've been take a little serious or whatsoever. You know, we tried to see if we put sandbag and thing, and we tried to save as much as what we can happen, because the water, the wave, everything. Then otherwise you come over there, actually you come like wave and them thing. So you lash out everything damaged.
How long have you lived in this community?
I ban going.
Has this ever happened before?
No, it not really happened. It happened, but it don't reach on the roadside. It used to reach on the low side, like where people over the sea side, it does reach, but it not reach like over the side and them thing and so. This is the first time it happened. So long I live. I'm going to 40 and things soon, so this is the first time everything. big hard work, I can't stop them, you
I
know.
know, I know. How has the region and by extension government promised to help you
Yeah,
to ease the
they,
burden?
yeah, they help you a lot, you know. They come around, they assist, the minister, them and thing come around. Everybody come, have a few words and thing. They help out and thing, they give me little things and so.
Well, I know for a fact that Region 3 will be donating some stuff to you,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we're going to be talking to one of the community development councillors, Ganesh Maipal, a little later on, and he'll tell us exactly what you'll be given. So, our heart and prayers go out to you, us here on West Side Story, go out to you and all of the residents of this community and the other communities affected, and we will try to do our part to ensure that the region, both the region and by extension the government of Guyana, continue to provide the little that they can. So thank you very much for talking to us on West Side
Thank you
Story.
very much, too.
A lot of electrical stuff, fridge, freezer, my TV gas stove, the rice cooker. My son have a big warmer, food warmer, and what the thing name was where you make tea with, percolator, yes, and lots of stuff.
You getting any help in terms of replacing any of them?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
Nothing as yet.
What you want? What kind of help you want though? What you asking for assistance?
Like my big stuff, them all the generator, look them there all because Thursday when it happened, I wasn't at home, so everything was underwater.
Okay.
Everything was underwater.
Okay. And how your cleanup efforts coming?
So far we trying. Yes, we trying. And I want to go to the dispensary today because I put itching and burning.
Okay. You know if it's from the cleanup and so.
Yes, it's from the cleanup. It's from the cleanup.
All right. Well, best of luck and thanks for talking to us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for staying with us here on West Side Story. Now we're going to talk to one of the residents of the one of the communities on this side. His name is Nicholas Beaton, and he is going to tell you about his experience from the overtopping. Again, I can't stress this enough that this edition of West Side Story is really an unpleasant one because we've been exposed to and we're focusing on so many misfortunes of so many people as a result of the overtopping. Nicholas, welcome to West Side Story. And just tell us about your general experience.
Yes, thank you. On Thursday afternoon, the day before Pagwa, I encountered I was at work. When I come home, I was like, noticed that the whole water was lashing over and the whole place like flood up severely and thing. So I decided now to go and check my home because I was concerned. And I decided to walk up the seawall now, like the water was washing over, but I was like a risk I was taking going there. So I eventually walking, going in the water, swim, paddling, going. One of the squatting house and the resort behind where I live had I know that by living there, I know I got a house behind by me. So all of a sudden, when I swimming going down now, I know I get a cut on my foot and get slight injuries. So as I pass now, I hear like somebody hollering, and this house like majority quarter the house in water. And then when I watch up like up in the roof part of the house, guys, now it's like high. It's like so much after they done drop on the ground. When I watch, I see how hand hang through, and I hear like somebody hollering. So I was like, when I pay attention carefully, I noticed that it's the woman that trapped inside the house. I was like, try swim wrong when I bracing the door because whoever went in the house after it fall along and so, like chuck half the door and left she inside the pin down. She gonna like come out or anything. She was there eventually when the water started rising. Because later on in the day, like half an hour after the water covered the place. You understand? So I ended up brace and gone inside down there and take shot and carry she to safety.
Okay.
And think now when I go in and check my place, my losses was like real more severe than her. But likewise, I deal with she and then go back to me because I don't see what going on there. And it's so hot in my heart so much. I know why I can't I thinking about she and watch and I think for me now. So when I go and end up going back swim crash house where I previously going. And when I go in my house, down for the column them fall on flat on the ground. All my appliances, everything, my TV, my DVD, my bed, fridge, wares, everybody just rumble up, wind down, they floating out all my boots lately. I buy a brand new boots, I just done build a bathroom and wash in concrete. And things all my fence gone, my neighbor fence them down in my yard. And a whole heap of tragedy going on. It's like a confusion. This is not something that you could control at the point of time. The only thing that wear off this thing and make it look a little resolved is when the water gone on back. And the point of knowing that the people them what is reading the weathercast, people them come and tell me that it's gonna be a higher tide. That was like heart raining, like as I want to get blackout or something. And you see the height of the water, after see all broke way all on the eastern side, like on the edge, and the water was just flowing over, and the height of the wave them, oh my God. When you see them things, like you don't know how to witness and explain it, other than seeing it. It's like real disaster, like.
Well, we are indeed sorry about your loss, but at the same time, congratulations to you because it is a humanitarian effort. You've lost a lot. You know, you have lost a lot, but you have also saved a life, and you should take some comfort in knowing that you will be remembered for the rest of your life by someone.
That is what I tell one person, because in terms of the government had to come and hear that couple houses broke down and things, they would have to come and hear that a woman dead within the tragedy and what's not and what's not.
Thanks for staying here with us in West Side Story. Now we're going to reintroduce you to someone who's no stranger to West Side Story. He is one of the community development officers in this region, Mr. Ganesh Paul. Now Ganesh has had an exhausting couple of days because he has been doing a lot of work and so on. As you know, several ministers visited this community after last weekend's overtopping. Ganesh was foot and foot with most of them, so he'll be able to give you a full government insight on what government has promised, not only promised, and what government has already done to relieve some of the burden from the persons who would have been affected here in the community. Just to remind you, because I've seen some unconscionable comments on social media, people talking about government needing to do more to prevent. To prevent what? No one can prevent natural disasters, so that it's just to remind you about that. But I understand people are crying out for government to do much more in terms of bringing relief. Remember, just as this event, this natural disaster was unexpected to you, the residents living in this community, it was also unexpected to our government officials. Mind you, I'm not making excuses for them, but I'm just reminding some of you of what you need to be reminded of what really is the reality. So now, Ganesh is going to tell us what government has done so far to relieve the burden and what else they plan to do. Government, and of course, or I should say the region, the administration for this region, and by extension the government of Guyana. Ganesh, welcome back to West Side Story.
Thank you for having me, Malika. It's very unfortunate that we're meeting under these circumstances. Nonetheless, I must let you know that it's a privilege to know that you're here to cover this story so that it can go as far as possible. And as much as people who are in affluent society and can assist, I'm sure these residents will welcome it. Severely hit areas were Stuartville, Seaview, Ocean View, Iflot, Anna Katrina, and Cornelia Ida. Those were severely hit. I would like to believe that probably Stuartville, Seaview, that area was hit the most. This unfortunate incident began on Thursday afternoon with high tides. But it wasn't as severe as it was on Friday morning hours, around 3, 4 o'clock, and that is why you find so much residents are saying they have lost refrigerator, gas stove, television, chair sets, all the likes that are furnishing of a home. Is because of the hour that this incident happened. You know, they were asleep and they had no idea. In fact, I even was underwater, and when I was called to say this is happening, when I got up and I looked outside, there I saw my yard was also under. I had about roughly about 6 or 7 inches of water in my land, and my area wasn't that hit, you know. What I admire nonetheless is the presence of government ministers in the area. The first minister that visited Region 3 pertaining to this unfortunate incident is Minister Karen Cummins, the Honorable Minister within the Ministry of Public Health. Then later down that very afternoon, we had the Honorable Minister within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Ms. Annette Ferguson, and they would have did their assessment. I'm sure that they will be back, and I'm sure that they will do whatever they can within their capacity. I know that Leonora Hospital is a primary focus at this point in time because that hospital provides a service for as far as the islands. And as far down, in fact, the entire region basically depends on that hospital. There are two hospitals, that one and West Dem. And you know, we have to get Lenora back up and going. Okay. We also had the privilege of Minister, I don't know if privilege is the right word, but Honorable Minister of Communities, Ronald Bulkan, was here. When Minister Bulkan came, the decision was taken to open the two shelters alongside the Civil Defense Commission. And the two shelters were open, one at Ifat Secondary School, the one here at Ifat Estate, not Ifat Estate, sorry, at the Ifat Community Center ground. And the collaborative effort that was put into this activity of ensuring that residents were treated with some humane decisions were taken. You know, it was done in such a collaborative, cooperative, and genuine manner. I must admire, I must mention it and say how much I admire it. We had the Minister of Communities, we had the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Acting Prime Minister Carol Greenidge, we had Minister Raphael Trotman, we had the Minister, as I said earlier, Minister Karen Cummins and Minister Annette Ferguson. It really touched me, you know, to know that these people had first-hand view of what is happening. But if I'm to single out organizations that played a very important role, I want to first start with the Civil Defense Commission. Lieutenant Colonel Craig, he is phenomenal, so to speak. That man practically camped out in this region, paying attention to what has happened. Major Welcome, Lieutenant Passad, the three of them were actually here from the beginning, and they're still actively involved with the emergency shelter that we have going. We have Gaisuku that cooperated with us as one phone call. Gaisuku cooperated with us. We have well, of course, the regional administration had to play their role also. The Guyana Police Force, the Guyana Defense Force, the Guyana Fire Service. I have never seen so many organizations coming together towards one cause, and that is to bring relief to the residents that were affected and make them feel as though they're still at home. Donations came from all over the place. I've seen on social media, waters were donated. I have seen Bakewell donated bread to the shelter. Churches, Terence Campbell played a role also. It was heart-rendering, and I must compliment these people who played this role in in collaboration with the regional administration. The REO was here Saturday, Sunday. Those are days that you know you look to be with your family and so on. But we are, as I always say, a good leader is a great servant, and we saw that from all the ministers and other officials that were part and parcel with the people. They have proven that they are great servants, and I'm left to conclude that they are nothing but good leaders.
Okay, all right, Ganesh. I mean, you've heard less from me on this week's edition of West Side Story. Ganesh just gave you the full rundown on what government has done and what the region has done in terms of providing, bringing the relief for the people. And I want to thank Ganesh at this time. Of course, unfortunately, we've come to the end of this conversation, but we'll bring to you another little snippet just to get back to what we usually do here on West Side Story. And of course, you know, we always talk about drains being dug and so on in these communities to ensure that there's a free flow of water. And of course, this is aside from most of what we've covered today in terms of how these communities are recovering after last week's overtopping. So Ganesh, thank you very much for talking to us. Of course, we'll talk to you in a bit about some of the other work that you've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, Malika.
Right. Stay tuned. West Side Story will be back in another minute or two to wrap up. We can't possibly wrap up this week's edition of West Side Story without bringing to you some of the things that we usually bring to you on West Side Story. And this is to remind you that the ongoing works in terms of clearing of drains and so forth to ensure that the communities on this one side rather, are kept in a tidy fashion. We can't possibly wrap up without showing you that those works are still ongoing. Ganesh is back with me here again to wrap up, to tell you exactly what this excavator behind me is currently doing. Of course, on this note, Ganesh is the expert and he's the only one who can tell you exactly what is happening.
Thank you once again, Malika, for having me on the program. As you can see, right behind us here, we have a mini excavator, and this excavator is cleaning the drains that leads to the Lenora Diagnostic and Treatment Center. And of course, we have residents that live at the back here also. This area is also servicing the early childhood daycare center. We have the hospitals, Dr. Squartz. We have the play school, the post office, and a number of other government entities that provides a service to the people. And the mini excavator is really clearing the drains and making it wider so that drainage can become very effective. And if there should be any flooding or such, the water can recede very quickly.
Okay, all right. Perfect. Thank you, Ganesh. It was a pleasure having you on West Side Story today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, great. Viewers, unfortunately, that's all the time I have with you this week on West Side Story. Again, on the very fortunate circumstances. It was so much that I'm even getting my words tied to it throughout today's entire recording. But you know, these things do happen and we do really mean well here on West Side Story. Again, thanks for watching. I am Malika Ramsey, and of course, join me again next time. This has been West Side Story.